First point, the story of harmful violet blue light and beneficial turquoise blue light for your circadian rhythm is marketing. It's bullshit. I will explain why. There are certain ophthalmologists and certain opticians who understand that this blue sky is real. They understand their visual anatomy, they understand their brain anatomy, they understand their hormones, your mitochondrial health, it is real. Your neurotransmitters, they are real. Your circadian rhythm, it is real. Your biological clock, your hypothalamus, your core, which will regulate your body temperature, your eating behavior, your mood, they are real. And they are regulated by light. But there are a lot of bullshit things said about light, especially about blue light, to sell pseudo-blue light blocking glasses. I am currently in Paris. I see many people wearing blue light blocking glasses during the day. These glasses are a bit transparent and a bit orange, which prevent people from living well during their day. I see people who are literally sick. So, I will address 3 points that will prove to you that artificial blue light is the most dangerous. But one particular point, the third and most important, that no one talks about, not even some ophthalmologists, not even some opticians. On the first, I told you that it's bullshit. The story of violet blue light and turquoise blue light. Our body is designed to be charged by all wavelengths of light when it is meant to be exposed to them. Please remember this sentence. The darkness that follows this sunset is also real, and we need it to secrete our melatonin, which will repair our mitochondria, which is antioxidant and anti-cancer. It is the foundation of our life. Okay. Just like natural light during the day, the foundation of our life, darkness after sunset and before sunrise, is the basis for the repair of our life. Well, why is violet and turquoise bullshit? Simply because they were created. This notion was created to sell a lens that will only block violet and ultraviolet light, under the pretext that ultraviolet rays are harmful to the eyes. While they allow you to synthesize your dopamine and serotonin through tyrosine and tryptophan, they also enable you to synthesize your melatonin and melanin. So this is ultraviolet light, which is supposedly bad for health. And that's how we sell these There, it is said that violet is bad for health. On the other hand, what is not blocked, turquoise, is good for your circadian rhythm. But no, during the day, you need to see all the spectra of visible light. So it's like the rainbow, okay? From violet to red, but also invisible. So before that, there are ultraviolet rays. And after that, there are infrared rays. In fact, that's already my third point. It's about timing. No one talks about your exposure to light, according to the moment. When it needs to be dark, it must be dark, period. We are not allowed to cheat. Yes, we cheat. Yes, we take the shortcut of okay. We will still light up. We will still illuminate ourselves. After sunset, there are long-term consequences that are proven. It is obviously proven. Poor sleep. All the consequences are proven. On diabetes, on neurodegenerative diseases, on cancers, on psychiatric disorders, on the immune system. It is proven on all diseases. For sleep, okay, having poor sleep. Well, first point, a bit scientific. Now, why is it about light? Why do you keep hearing about blue light? First point, blue light is the most energetic visible light. Blue light is 1.8 times more energetic than red light. You can do the calculation. E equals h nu, energy. H times the frequency of the electromagnetic wave in question. What is E? So, the energy of the photon H. It is a constant. It is Planck's constant. Nu, it is the frequency of the wave. Nu, frequency of the wave. In fact, it is also equal to 1 over lambda. That is to say, you will understand. You will understand. Equal, what is it? It is about the wavelength. When I make a wave like this, I create a wave of red light. The wavelength, it is long, okay? The frequency, it is small. 1 over lambda is the inverse of the wavelength. It is calm. The wavelength of red, the energy of red is calm. Whereas the energy of blue light is high. Why? Because the wavelength is short. Eh times 1 over lambda E h nu. That is to say, she does it like this. She is super excited, the blue light. But that's very good. Because during the day, it allows us to get excited. So that's the first point. Blue light equals 1.8 times the energy of red light. Second point. Blue light is also on after sunset, however, there are 3 people who won a Nobel Prize in physics. They are Japanese and American from 2014, because in the 2020s, in the 2010s, they invented blue LEDs. LEDs already existed in the 20th century, but in reality, we used incandescent lamps that produced warmer colors, which had a much lower impact on our circadian rhythm, our biological clock. What allows us to be active, happy, disciplined, focused, and even disciplined in our eating behavior during the day and in the evening is to enter a standby mode in all our cells. This is our circadian rhythm, our biological clock. And well, they invented blue LEDs. What are blue LEDs? It's simple. It's a spike of blue. A spike. Okay, a spike. What does that mean? That means there is 4 times more blue light in your car headlights, on your screen, in street lights, etc. In short, all the lamps that are on, even in your home, there is 4 times more blue light, which, as you have understood, is already 1.8 times more energetic than red light. There is 4 times more blue than other colors. Red light basically is a falsehood. It is blue linked to a yellow phosphor to give this cold white color. Headlights, cars that dazzle, that literally burn. 2001, it burns the retina. But above all, the strongest impact is on the circadian rhythm, the absence, the suppression of melatonin secretion. What does that mean? It means just, you see light. You don't feel like... Well, I was going to get to the story. About 460 10 nanometers. Basically, this peak of blue, guess where it is? 460, 10 nanometers. Now guess what the peak sensitivity of your neurons in the retina is when you want to see a blue sky at 460, 10 nanometers during the day. And it is at that moment that you will be the most alert, positive, etc. Use and. But the rules of the game change after sunset. That's what nobody understands. No one understands that the Earth revolves around the Sun, and especially that it rotates on its own axis. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? The rules of the game are reversed, meaning that these same cells have a peak sensitivity at 460 10 nanometers. By the way, the pseudo-blue light blocking glasses from major optical chains block light below 410 nanometers. Now you understand why. We are told that violet blue light is bad for health and turquoise blue light is good for health. We let it pass. Well, of course. So, on top of that, this blue light blocking back does not block the light from screens, does not block the light from car headlights, does not block the light from lamps in restaurants, in the subway, everywhere in the subway, everywhere. So, 460, 10 nanometer to peak sensitivity of mud, intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. These neurons that are in the retina, what are they for? They are almost exclusively used to perceive light, okay? They have some inputs, sources, and other photoreceptors, which are the cones and rods, which literally serve to see, so not the light, but seeing colors, shapes, with their own specificities, to the cones and the rods. But these hyper-GC are there to regulate our body, regulate our neuroscience, regulate our hormones, and regulate our learning abilities. I'm talking about something real. I'm not talking about wacky science. Have you noticed that everyone has ADHD today? You have noticed all the children have difficulty concentrating. They are hyperactive. I believe it is a doctor's job today to ask at every consultation how a child's sleep is. Let's get to the point. Children, by the way, I will talk about this briefly. They have a pupil, which I believe I have never mentioned in a video. They have a pupil that is wider, okay? First point, what is a pupil? It's the window. It's the hole that will let in the light. So already, they let in more light in the other. In their eye? Okay. Second point, they have a lens that is still developing. What does this lens mean for children? His job is to converge the rays of light on the retina. Okay. It was Thomas Young who demonstrated this. He highlighted the phenomenon of accommodation in the 1800s. Around 1801, he was the one who brought attention to Jung's shapes. Moreover, it is thanks to him that we know that light is both a wave behavior and at the same time, well, not ever, precisely, never at the same time, but it can also exhibit particle behavior, photons. That is to say, energy, matter. It is, broadly speaking, both matter and a wave. But both, at the same time, are impossible. In short, children have a lens that is still developing. It is transparent. Its second job, in addition to converging light rays onto the retina for clear vision, is to block a portion of the light, particularly some ultraviolet light, and specifically blue light. In children, being transparent, you understand that this lens allows a lot of blue light to pass through to the retina. All of this has an impact because electromagnetic radiation is electromagnetic radiation. It is energy. Photons carry energy. You understand that blue light is particularly energetic. It arrives at the living cells, photoreceptors, cones, rods, hyper-GC, that I mentioned to you, 1,000. Oxidative stress, accumulation of lipofuscin, aging pigments equal, potentially without. Therefore, I suggest that this could lead to AMD, but potentially retinal disease. Obviously, I agree with that. AMD is not proven, because we still do not have much hindsight on the massive overexposure of people to artificial blue light. The real problem with artificial blue light is the artificial blue light after sunset. Use and before sunrise, that's the real problem. And the other real problem is during the day, but not from the direct impact of artificial blue light on your eyes, etc. Even though I know that you have eye pain when you are in front of screens during the day, and headaches, IP, RGC, which are also linked to migraines. So, the third type of photoreceptor I mentioned to you is also linked to the exacerbation, triggering, and worsening of migraines. That's also proven. Mr. Ophthalmologist on TikTok. Basically, I was talking about oxidative stress. Here is your retina. It suffers, linked to artificial blue light. And the real problem with artificial blue light during the day is that you are not under what allows you to live, under what takes away everything that gives you energy, under what enables your mental clarity, and the consolidation of your waters, all of which is natural light, okay? That's the real problem with artificial light during the day, but what is the other real problem? Artificial light after sunset. If I have just one thing to say, well, there, I just mentioned 2 points. The first is 1.8 times the energy. Okay, do you remember that? On the second, peak sensitivity of IPRGCs, photoreceptors in your retina, is at 460 nm. Now, it is indeed light that is the medicine, if I may say so, even if that is a poor choice of words, which is the substance, which is the thing that regulates your biological clock the most, okay? Your biological clock depends primarily on this. You can take any medication on Earth. What will primarily regulate your biological clock is your exposure to light. This is a good thing, okay? During the day, having light. But I repeat, I must emphasize, after sunset, this is undoubtedly the most harmful thing you could do for your health and performance. I talk to you about learning abilities. I talk to you about mood. I don't even know if I mentioned dopamine, serotonin, all of that, which is made possible thanks to your ultraviolet light, since I did some recordings before this video. And the third thing is really the aspect of temporality. What is this temporality? It's the hyperglyco. They really don't want to see any light after your sunset. They become paradoxically much more sensitive to light after you have been awake for 12 to 16 hours. What does that mean? It means you are on TikTok or YouTube at 2002. Well, just a tiny bit of artificial blue light with the peak, okay? The 4 times, the 1.8 times of energy, and additionally with a peak, 4 times higher than the rest of the light. Just a tiny bit of that, and well, it gets excited and tells your pineal gland not to secrete melatonin, and there's a problem. As a result, there are people who will sell you orodispersible melatonin tablets, etc. In short, they'll tell you all sorts of things. But you have an issue with that hormone, melatonin. But then take an exogenous source of melatonin that is also less effective than a Placebo. You should also read about melatonin supplements, regardless of the dose, which has a large variability, ranging from 15 to 450 of the displayed dose, and which is primarily a hormone. Therefore, you disrupt your pineal gland. Taking a hormone is generally not a very good idea for your body, but it's even more concerning when it's a hormone that is so subtly regulated. Okay, endocrinologists, all hormones regulated. Melatonin, it must be secreted at the right time. There is really a moment when you definitely shouldn't secrete it. All right? And well, you see bodybuilders who inject testosterone who have very small testicles. Why? Because they provide an exogenous source of testosterone, and as a result, their testicles and adrenal glands, which also produce DHEA, no longer know when to secrete their androgens and end up secreting them. They no longer know. They lose their ability. This is actually called learned helplessness. They no longer know how to do it. They become dependent. Well, it's the same. Let's stop being dependent. Just like with melatonin. So I hear ophthalmologists on TikTok because, well, I'm making a video that proves that the blue light blocking lenses from major optical chains, blue light blocking, am I using air quotes here? Major optical chains and the vast majority of blue light blocking glasses brands. This video proves that they are ineffective. In addition, in the video, I don't even talk about how they are detrimental to health. And an ophthalmologist tells me that there is no study proving that blue light is harmful. The sky behind me is true, my friend. Come on, let's do a live. There you go. So there were 3 points. First point, 1.8 times the energy. Second point, first point, 1.8 times the energy. And additionally, 4 times more with the peak. Okay. So the second point, the peak sensitivity of the cells that are so crucial for our performance, our health, our happiness, our concentration, our discipline, these hyper-GC. This peak of sensitivity is exactly at the peak of blue light from the screen I am currently holding in my hands. I am not protected against blue light. Why? Because it's a matter of risk-benefit balance. This blue light from screens doesn't damage my retina because I am facing a blue sky, because I am facing a sunset that is crucial for regulating my biological clock. On the other hand, after sunset, I will have my light that is in my bag, which blocks a maximum of blue, green, and yellow light, because we are not supposed to be exposed to light after sunset. 1,000 apart from the light of the moon, and they will tell me, yes, the fire. Fire remains an invention. We weren't born in antiquity, okay? The first traces of human beings were found 350,000 years ago in Tanzania. So roughly, in fact, it is between 150 and 350,000 years in Tanzania. But we possibly were born, sos eos, as Homo sapiens, 1 or 2 million years ago. It's like, always, what is it that we manage to highlight? And what is it that we cannot highlight? The simplest things to highlight are those that have been repeating since eternity. Eternity in quotation marks. But this blue sky, it is true. Our physiology, if I ask Marie Antoinette, Louis XVI, Thomas Young, how did their retina behave? How did their neurotransmitters behave? Just like us, friends, except that they didn't have those spikes of blue. And so, the third point, temporality. Temporality. That is to say, after sunset, no light, period. Okay, do we need to go back to the Middle Ages? No, I love technology. Do you love technology? It allows us to do so many things. Should we be aware that we should not scroll on TikTok without blue light protection? After 22 hours, you have your answer. Excellent evening to all. Enjoy your sunsets. Enjoy your sunrises in the 2 interfaces you have. In relation to the sun, in relation to this battery. Finally, regarding this energy source that will give you a bit more